Hey guys, welcome to another video. So today I'm not actually back home. I'm here in Liverpool. I do spend 5 out of 7 days a week here, so I thought it'd be a good place to do this video, since a lot of people do live in the city or big towns and not in semi-countryside areas like back at home for me, and that's obviously going to have an effect on living with a car such as this. Now, chances are, if you're considering a CLA 45 AMG or an A45, it's going to be your only car and you're going to daily it, so obviously you want to know what it's going to be like on a daily basis and if it does your head in or not. Here in the UK, the roads are generally not the best, particularly in the city areas. They are quite narrow, parking's a pain, etc, etc. I've had this CLA 45 for about 9 months now, going on 10 months, and I've loved pretty much every day that I've been in the car. Now, I've come from a BMW 1 Series before this car, and I will admit I do treat this car differently than when I had my 1 Series. You know, I was a lot less precious with the 1 Series in terms of where I parked it, how I parked it, that kind of thing. One of the major differences with having an AMG, or actually any type of sports car with, you know, big wheels and generally a low ride height, is that you can't lift them on curbs. In the CLA 45 especially, the actual gap between the tyre and the wheel arch is so small. You know, I was used to, with my BMW beforehand, just lifting it up on curbs only really makes a difference, you know, when you're parallel parking, that kind of thing, or if you need to get on a curb to just stay away from the road. Can't do it in this car. It's something that I have to plan in ahead for. If I'm going to places that I've not been to before, you know, I will make sure to ask around, you know, what's the parking situation like. And because I live in 2 different places, I suppose, one back in Cheshire and an apartment here in Liverpool, I'm at the supermarket a lot, and that's another thing to take into consideration. In supermarkets in particular, you do want to be careful where you park the car, I suppose. You know, if it's super busy, supermarkets here generally have small parking spaces, and I'm sure some of you that have been watching, you'll have had dents in your doors from people opening the doors and just not paying attention and knocking straight into it. Fortunately, it's not happened for me. I do try my best to either get an end spot or park completely miles away from the actual supermarket entrance, but you know, on the occasions where it's very busy and you're kind of stuck with it, it's luck of the draw really. It's whether you want to risk it or not. You know, it's something that I wasn't really bothered about with the BMW. You just park it whatever. I do know some people double park, like take up 2 spaces, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. Obviously I perfectly understand why people do it, but you may get that odd person where, you know, they see a car that's double parked, and if it's a nice car or whatever, they'll key it. I have heard stories about that. I don't know, it's just something I'm not willing to do. So I'm here at the supermarket now because I've got a few things to do, and as usual I am going to park away from everyone else.
20 minutes later.
Right, so you may have noticed I put my shopping in the back seats. When I've only got like 1 or 2 bags, I always put them in the back of the car, right, rather than the boot, because if I do that, I've mentioned it in other videos, I haven't got any hooks in the back, and because it's quite shallow but goes quite far in, everything goes all over the place. So the A-class boot is a lot better. It's a lot closer to the boot in my 1 Series that had hooks as well, so it's really easy just keeping everything in one place in the boot. I mean, I'm driving in manual mode right now. I think it's just a force of habit, but if you're in the city, chances are you're going to switch to comfort, and yeah, it's not bad. It does exactly what you expect from an automatic. In the lower gears and lower speeds, it can feel a little bit jerky. If you do suddenly just put your foot down, like even just a little bit, there's like a big delay, and then it'll suddenly lurch forward, and yeah, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world. When I'm in Liverpool in a city centre, I tend not to drive too often anyway. I try and avoid it because of traffic and whatnot. I think the size of this car is actually very good. Obviously it's a bit bigger than the A-Class, but it's not massive. You know, it's perfectly fine getting it into pretty much all parking spaces. You've got front and rear sensors. This comes with a rear facing camera as well, which is a big help. Try not to kill cyclists. I mean, if you do live in the city, which is what I do, literally, you know, right in the centre, where I keep the car overnight, the block of flats does have like an underground car park type thing, but even then the parking spaces are actually pretty small, and just getting in is actually very tight. I will show you that when I actually get back home, but you know what, this is probably right on the limit. If you did have something like a C-Class, you'd actually struggle to get it in. And right, in terms of attention this car draws, you know what, when it was white it didn't actually draw too much attention, because, you know, for someone that say isn't too interested in cars or anything, it just looks like a CLA. Obviously since I've wrapped it, I think it's the wrap that draws more attention, and obviously the noises, so probably do it here. Then it is very easy to attention seek. It depends if you like that kind of thing or not. I think got to be a bit careful. I mean, yes, there are some small impracticalities, but in terms of having something as a daily and being practical and fun and special all at the same time, I think you will find that with an AMG. You do need to be pretty careful trying to get into here. So getting in isn't too bad. Trying to get out is a bit of a nightmare. So this car does have the optional 19-inch wheels. So the gap between, you know, the wheel and the wheel arch isn't massive. It's literally, what, that much. So, you know, lifting this car on curbs is off the question, obviously. Along with that, you've got the front splitter, which is actually fairly low. I think I might have scuffed it a little bit on the bottom here, and it actually does drop down a little bit further, so that's just something to be aware of. These wheels don't look like traditional diamond cut alloys, which apparently, if you're not aware, are a lot more difficult to actually refurb. The rim here looks diamond cut, whereas obviously the matte black, well, the satin black spokes don't. So, you know, if you do curb one of your wheels, it probably could be pretty expensive to repair. Earlier on I mentioned you could be quite antisocial with this car. I'm in an underground car park, so I will demonstrate that. Any comments or queries about this car, if you're considering something like that in the future, comment down below and I'll be more than happy to assist you if I know the answer. Give this video a thumbs up if you thought it was useful, subscribe down below, all the rest, blah blah blah, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys.